Let me ask you this, Alf, as we close it out. I mean, what I've learned from all this situation is, yes, it was a great signing by Lewicki and Bezbachenko to bring Defoe over. But I've always said this, it's important to cater to the market that you're in. Los Angeles caters to the market they're in. Montreal caters to their market, and so on and so on. I've said this, it sounds like a broken record, but we have a massive Portuguese community here in Toronto, a massive Italian community. I have still yet to see a player of substance coming from either one of these nations to come here and play in Toronto. Why I say that is I think that Jermaine Defoe maybe didn't settle in here, maybe wasn't comfortable, maybe didn't have that community like a Portuguese or an Italian player would have. Do you feel that maybe I'm wrong there? Do you feel still they need to look going down that path?
I don't know, Anthony. I mean, I think that may have been true maybe 10 to 15 years ago, but I really don't think that's necessarily the case anymore. I think, fans will come to watch the best players in North America play, and I regardless of their nationality, regardless of where they're coming from, I can understand the reasoning behind, the Saputo group in Montreal going after, a number of Italian stars. There is a sizable Italian community there. There is an affection for the Serie A. So I can understand the reasoning behind that. And Marco Di Vaio has been everything, they've asked him to be. Unfortunately, it looks like this is his last year. So you have to wonder what direction Montreal is going to go in now. But honestly, I don't really think that's a necessary thing to do at this point in time. I think you just go out and you find the best players you can. And those players, as long as they're adaptable to Major League Soccer, can make the difference. And I think Jermaine Defoe is a player that everyone can see can make a difference in a game. And it doesn't matter that he's English, or he could have been French, he could have been Brazilian, but as long as he makes a difference and makes an impact on a game, to me, it really doesn't matter where he comes from. I really think that in this day and age, it's not an important critical factor in recruiting players to a city like Toronto.
Right, but I agree, Alf, and time is our worst enemy. I agree with everything you have to say, but then again, they haven't gone down that road. They've gone down the English road. They've gone down the South American road, as we see with Gilberto. They have yet to go down those two communities. And what I'm hearing out there is a lot of this. I have no one that I can really relate to or watch that I've seen from back home in my country. I'd love to see a player that would come here and play for Toronto. And this is coming from the Portuguese community more than the Italian community. And again, Alf, if they don't make the playoffs this year, Defoe or no Defoe, they need now to step it up to go into these communities and try and attract some of those fans, win or not, to get some of that zeal and that zest back, Alf.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Anthony, but I think that fans will come to the stadium if they have a team that is a winner. And regardless of whether you have 11 players, from the United Kingdom, or 11 players all from South America on your team, or 11 Canadians on your team. I mean, if the team is winning, I don't care where they come from. If I'm a fan, I'm going to support them, and I think that's and that really should be the way that it should be it should be spread to communities across the city. I mean, as I said, you mentioned Roberto Bettega off the top. I was also one of those people that was attracted to the Toronto Blizzard at the time because of the presence of Roberto Bettega. But that was 30 years ago, Anthony. Things have dramatically changed, and the North American landscape has changed quite dramatically. If we were to take an example from Vancouver, for instance, Vancouver has a tremendous Asian market out there, and yet there is no Asian player on that team.
No, but they did have one, Alf. They did have one. They did have one. They did have one. Vancouver, when they started, they had a South Korean player, if I'm not mistaken.
Or did he make a significant difference in the squad?
But he was on that squad.
The answer is no, and they've gone out and they've recruited South American players who are making a tremendous difference in that team. Pedro Morales could be in the running for MVP this year. They have a lot of great talent, and I think as long as you're able to have a base of good, solid Major League Soccer professionals, as TFC has done this year, they've added a number of important, MLS veterans, and they've added these key DPs such as Michael Bradley, Jermaine Defoe, and let's not forget Gilberto, who is finding his form. I think that's where the direction they have to go. I don't think you have to necessarily go out to a Portuguese first division and bring a player over here simply because he's Portuguese and he represents that community. I really think that in this day and age, put 11 players on the field who win, and I'll support them.